I'm about to share a technique with you that will elevate your landscape painting from flat to fabulously three-dimensional. Let's go. Did you know that there are some really simple techniques that you can use to transform a flat painting into a breathtaking landscape? Have you ever found yourself staring at your work, feeling it just lacks that spark, it lacks something? If you've ever struggled to make your paintings feel three-dimensional, stick around because today we're diving into the ways to add depth to your landscape paintings. Of course, the first thing we're going to do is add the first layer. Now, as you can see, this paintbrush dropped a hair there. That's kind of annoying, but I've managed to pick it off and it's fine. But the first thing we do is we add in the first shapes, the first layer where we place everything out and we're just going for it. The second one is after giving the canvas a little bit of a dry off, we're going to flesh out those details. So by creating more depth, we're just adding another layer, making sure that we add in a little bit of a darker layer. This is going to start to give you your dimension. So when we talk about depth, we're looking at how to give our paintings that extra dimension, make them pop off the canvas. So whether you're a newbie or a seasoned painter, this is definitely something you want to know. Now let's talk about a common challenge that we all face. That frustrating moment when your landscape looks flat. You might have spent hours working on it, but it just doesn't have that depth or dimension you crave. It's like you've painted a beautiful scene, but it feels more like a postcard than a real immersive experience. I want you to think of your own work for a second. Have you ever stepped back and realized it doesn't capture the essence of the scene you envisioned? Yeah, I've been there too, but don't worry, that's exactly why we're here. So how do we tackle this issue? Let's explore some techniques to adding depth to your landscapes. First up, it's an atmospheric perspective. It's all about the colors and the details that change with distance. For example, distant mountains often appear lighter and bluer than those up close. Next, we have to layer. By creating a foreground, a middle ground, and a background, you can guide the viewer's attention through the painting. Think about adding trees or rocks in the foreground. In my case, I'm doing some flowers, a little redness, and it also complements my background. So think about adding these in the foreground to add a sense of space. But let's not forget about the color contrast, using lighter colors and softer edges for distant objects and more darker and intense colors for those in the foreground. This will create the depth that you need. So I'll show you some examples as we go along. As you see here, I'm starting light in all cases, but as I get to the front, my colors are lighter and a bit bolder. In the background, in the sky, I've used a very light pink. So for the one in the foreground, it's going to be a lot darker. This is giving me my dimension here that I'm looking for. So as you watch closely, I'm layering my colors, adjusting them as I go along. It's not just about putting on the paint at this point, but really thinking about where the light is and how close the objects are in each other. And as I work through the piece, you'll see the transformation happening right before your eyes. It's amazing to see how just a few tweaks can really make a painting feel much more alive. As I go into the foreground on this painting, this is where it gets darker. And it's where I add in my little spots of flowers, just to add more depth and dimension. As you saw, I added in blades of grass all over, and it creates that sense of drama in the painting. In the background, I've got a misty mountain there and some lighter trees. In the end, when I looked at it, I could have gone even darker in the foreground, and that's something I'll probably take into the next painting with me. But it turned out really beautiful in the end, and I actually love it. What do you think? Do you think this one turned out well? Adding the extra dimension, I like it.
Can you try it, Mom?
At this point, I felt like the foreground needed a bit of yellow to add to the drama. It just adds that little bit extra, that little bit of pop, and it brings the foreground forward a little bit more. A little bit extra detail in these background trees. It wasn't completely necessary, but it did it okay. And then just a little bit more detail in that background. Fanning it out just a little bit over there, just so that it fades. And there we go. Now I want to hear from you. Have you tried adding more depth into your paintings? Share your experiences in the comments down below. And if you're looking for more painting tips and techniques, don't forget to check out my other videos. In the end, I love how this turned out. It's absolutely beautiful. What do you think? Thank you for watching another one of my Painting for 30 Days videos, and I'll see you in the next one.
This pencil, and after that I got up to this little thing.